From a very young age, most of us are taught the same simple script. You go to school, you get a job, you work for decades, you save a little for later. And only when your energy is mostly gone do you finally earn the right to live for yourself. That story gets repeated so often that it starts to feel like a law of nature. Not just one possible strategy, but the only one. Because of that, any alternative immediately sounds suspicious. If someone says there's a shorter path, the instinctive reaction is, they must be lying or there has to be a catch. But it's worth stopping for a moment and asking an uncomfortable question. Who decided that the long path is the only option? The truth is, most people have never actually run the numbers. They didn't question the system. They just accepted the rules and started playing. That's why the idea of financial freedom in 5 years sounds impossible. Not because it actually is, but because it doesn't fit the mental model people are used to. Stay until the end of this video, and I'll show you the exact amount you'd need to invest each month to stop working in just 5 years. Another major reason this idea feels unrealistic is that people confuse wealth with freedom. When most people hear "stop working," they picture yachts, private jets, and massive homes. But financial freedom isn't about excess. It's about covering your basic lifestyle without being forced to trade your time for money. Once you separate those two ideas, everything changes. This isn't about becoming a millionaire. It's about replacing expenses with income. Not status, but control over your time. And this is exactly where most people quit. They never even reach the math because they reject the idea emotionally first. But if you can get past that internal reaction, that automatic, "this can't be real," that's when a completely different conversation begins. 1. Stop trusting good-looking returns on paper. They don't mean much. Most people make the exact same mistake. They look at numbers in isolation. Someone says, the market returns 8 to 10% a year, and instantly, the brain paints a clean, optimistic picture of steady growth. The problem is, those percentages mostly exist on paper. Real life always takes its cut. First, inflation. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't feel dramatic. It simply erodes your purchasing power year after year. Your account balance may go up, but the value of what that money can actually buy quietly goes down. And if you're not subtracting inflation from your returns, you're lying to yourself without realizing it. Second, taxes. Almost no one factors them in at the beginning. In videos and presentations, returns are always shown before taxes. But the moment you actually start pulling money out, the government takes its share, and it does so consistently. Third, fees and friction. Funds, platforms, brokers, management costs. They all sound small. 0.5% here, 1% there. Nothing alarming. But over just a few years, those tiny costs quietly drain tens of thousands of dollars from your results. When you add it all up, that attractive 8 to 10% often turns into 3 to 4% of real, usable return. The kind you can actually live on. This is where a lot of people get frustrated. They did everything right. They invested for years, and the outcome ends up far smaller than what they were led to expect. And this becomes especially critical if your goal is a short timeline, like 5 years. There's no extra time for things to average out. Every percentage point matters. Every mistake compounds. So the right question isn't, what's the return? It's, how much real money do I actually keep after everything? Once you start thinking this way, many popular strategies immediately look very different. And this is the moment when a plan stops being built on hope and starts being built on math. 2. Why the stock market becomes the foundation of a 5-year plan. When you're not working with decades, but with a tight and demanding 5-year window, your list of viable tools shrinks fast. In that time frame, most strategies that actually work tend to converge on the same place, the stock market. The reason is straightforward. Over long periods, equities have delivered the highest real returns, meaning growth after inflation. They don't just increase numbers on a statement, they preserve purchasing power, which conservative instruments consistently fail to do. This isn't about trying to pick the next big winner or pretending to be a trader. That approach almost always leads to mistakes. Instead, the strategy is built around owning the market as a whole, small pieces of hundreds or thousands of companies at the same time. Yes, it's boring. There's no adrenaline, no bold predictions, no dramatic moves. But this simple, uneventful approach keeps outperforming the complicated, smart strategies most people try to invent. And when your timeline is only 5 years, reliability beats excitement every time. 3. Forget safe investments. They won't buy you freedom. Low-risk options like savings accounts, CDs, and government bonds do exactly one thing well. They prevent your money from disappearing. And that's where their usefulness mostly ends. With returns in the 4 to 5% range, these tools are designed to maintain balance, not transform it. They protect capital, but they don't accelerate it. And when your timeline is measured in just a few years, speed matters more than comfort. Even with consistent, disciplined contributions, the outcome is usually too small to replace everyday living expenses. These instruments are great for stability, but stability alone doesn't get you out of the game. If your goal is to stop trading time for money, safe investments quietly work against you. They preserve the status quo when what you actually need is momentum. 4. Systems beat willpower. Why a 5-year plan collapses without automation. Most people believe in willpower. They assume they'll simply decide to invest and stay consistent. The reality is harsher. Willpower is a limited resource. It fades under stress, fatigue, unexpected expenses, or just a rough month. And a 5-year plan isn't built for perfect months. It's built to survive the months when you don't feel like doing anything at all. That's why motivation isn't the deciding factor. System design is. If investing depends on how you feel, it won't last. If it requires you to consciously make the same decision over and over again, you will eventually break. On a short, aggressive timeline, the only way forward is to remove yourself from the process as much as possible. That means something very simple. Money moves into investments automatically, without debate. Your paycheck arrives, a portion disappears immediately. Dividends hit the account. They get reinvested, not spent. No, I'll decide at the end of the month. No manual choices. Automation has no emotions. It doesn't panic over headlines. It doesn't chase discounts. It doesn't daydream about a new car. It just executes the plan. Once the system is set, investing stops being an event. It becomes background noise. You can live, work, make mistakes, get distracted, and the plan keeps moving forward anyway. And on a 5-year horizon, that's critical, because missing even a single year can quietly destroy the entire outcome. The real numbers: how much capital you actually need to stop working. For a 5-year timeline, we have to use a realistic, not perfect scenario. Let's talk about withdrawal rates. 4% works for 25 to 30-year retirements, but it's too slow here. 5% is borderline. 6% is realistic for an active, diversified portfolio on a shorter horizon. Now the math. If your annual expenses are $36,000, then $36,000, 0.06, $600,000, target capital, $600,000. It's not a million, but it's not a fantasy either. What it actually takes to reach $600,000 in 5 years. To hit $600,000 in 5 years, you need to invest $8,000 to $8,500 per month. Yes, that's a lot. And this is the key point most people miss. What that $8,000 really looks like. This isn't about earning $8,000 from one job. It's about stacking income streams. A realistic setup looks like this. Primary job or contract, $4,000, $5,000. Secondary income, YouTube, business, freelancing, $4,000 or $5,000. Living expenses, $3,000. Everything else, automatically invested. You're not spending $8,000. You're redirecting it. The choice is simple. Either you choose comfort today and push freedom into some vague later, or you accept pressure now and buy back your time. That decision alone determines where you'll be 5 years from now. If you watch this all the way through, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button.